dsport.llc@yahoo.com. So come on down to Community Cleaners. You'll be glad you did.
Hello, citizens of Marion County. Today I wanted to bring you an important safety message. All homes should have a working smoke alarm. One should be installed in every bedroom. The smoke alarm should be tested at least once a month, and the battery should be changed at least once a year. According to NFPA, you have a 78% better chance of survival by having a working smoke alarm. Please get yours today. This message is brought to you by the City of Marion Fire Department. I'm Jackie Yates, Assistant Fire Chief.
Local gospel music radio station 98.3 FM.
Heard also at 1280 AM.
WJAY.
Our time stands as 8:30. We're going to switch over to Studio B and say good morning to you, Brother Michael Jenkins.
And good morning to you, Tatum. Good morning to everyone out there. I hope everyone is okay after this terrible storm we had. It wasn't as bad as it could have been here, but around the state and south of us, Georgia and Florida, they really were hit hard. I saw some videos last night where Asheville, man, the cars were just floating down the street in the water. It was insane. But I hope all of you are okay and are able to get past another storm season, because we have this every year. It's not like this is new. Good morning, Mr. Brian Roselle. How are you? Mullins and Marion football was supposed to take the field last night in their annual duel. It didn't happen. Mother Nature had other plans. So that game is now rescheduled for Monday at 6 p.m. And they call that Tobacco Bowl around here. So Mullins and Marion will take the field 6 o'clock on Monday to renew their rivalry. Mullins is doing excellent this year. Marion is not. So we'll have to see how that turns out. But Mullins' overall football program, and including their rec department, is really putting in some work. I saw some posts this week where I think they're 12 and under, 11 and under, or something like that. Two teams are doing very well and winning big games. So that bodes well for auctioneer football going forward. And they're doing pretty well right now. So congratulations to those youngsters out there. It seems like the head football coach of the high school, Coach Lowry, is really putting some things in place to make Mullins' program as good as it's ever been. He seems to be on a mission. The team, the players seem to have bought in. It's amazing, the turnaround that they've had, especially this season, being undefeated and all. So let's take a look at Marion and Mullins as we lead up to this game and see how they've done to date. And Marion, as I said, this is a down year for them in many ways, because they did lose a lot of talent from last year's team. Superstars all gone, and they had to kind of develop what comes next. So Marion didn't start off the season very well as they opened at Lakeview, and Lakeview came away with a 42-0 win there. Marion got their first win of the season against Latta in a nail-biter, 8-7. And then West Florence, 47-0, Marion falls. Dillon, 48-7 over Marion. Kingstree, 52-16, which leads us to this week's game against rival Mullins. Take a look at Mullins and recap them going forward. Yeah, it's been kind of rough around here. And Mullins started out with a win over Hemingway, and that was to be expected. Hemingway is not very good this year. Lakeview is pretty good this year again, and Mullins came away with a 22-21 win, and that was done in two parts because the game was started on one night and they finished it on another. Green Sea Floyd, I went to that game too, 30-6. Mullins came away with a win. I went to the Ladder game. They nipped Ladder 6-0. And then they handled ACA, Atlantic Collegiate Academy, 44-18. And that really got my attention. That's a big number right there for the Hawks, even though they put up 40 against Lakeview. I was expecting a little bit more from Atlantic Collegiate, being an academy and all that. But Mullins took care of business there as well. And now Marion is up next. I mean, it's kind of miraculous in a way, the way they've turned it around. I can't say that I'm completely surprised. What I am a little bit surprised about is all the basketball players who have bought in. I mean, and are making huge impact on the team right now. So Monday night, Hawks will see if they could continue their winning streak. They're 5-0 right now, and they do have a conference win under their belt. So things are looking good in the land of the auctioneers. After Marion, they've got the 4 games left after Marion are Lake City, Manning, and the Lake City game is home. The Manning game is on the road. They host East Clarendon. That's going to be on the 18th of October. And they finish the season off on the road against Kingstree. And Kingstree and Marion played a couple weeks ago, and it was Kingstree came into the season not doing very well. Came into that game not doing very well, and they struggled, but they still came away with a big win against Marion. It's good. It was impressive that Marion did put up some significant points, which they had not done most of the season. But Mullins doesn't seem to have a problem scoring, and that was most evident in their last game against Atlantic Collegiate Academy. Let's take a look at some scores from last night, because a lot of people didn't play, obviously, because of the weather. Some folks did take the field, but it's better to be safe than sorry when it comes to these storms. Nobody needs to be messing around putting these kids in harm's way, or the fans for that matter, because as I said, it was bad out there. But it went like this. Berkeley played against St. James, and Berkeley came away with a 43-7 victory. I think some of these games were played before yesterday, like Thursday or something. Andrews and Hanahan played. It was a 29-18 victory for Hanahan in that one. Let's see. Mullins Auctioneers and Marion Swamp Foxes renew their rivalry. Let's go up here. Ain't got very many scores here. Okay. Myrtle Beach and Cane Bay. Myrtle Beach, who didn't start out very well now, 36-6 over Cane Bay. Carvers Bay beat Green Sea Floyds 42-18. Soxty nipped Loris, and that's Loris' first win of the season. I expect Loris to be a real problem going forward. They have a really good start to their season. They got nipped by Soxty last night. So, yeah, these games were played on Wednesday, it says here. So I'm sure most of the games that were not played or rescheduled, probably for today and or Monday. And that's basically it for the scoreboard. Let's take a look at the prep polls, since I hadn't been here in 2 weeks. And let's see if we could pull that up. See where everybody is right now. The season is basically, it's half gone. I can't say that I'm sad about that, being a basketball guy at all. Because, boy, it's October, and you know what that means. They throw the basketballs out this month. And I'm very excited about what we're going to have around here. Looks like Mullins is probably going to be playing some bonus football this year. And usually when that happens, you got basketball players on the team. That means that these guys are not going to be ready for basketball season in terms that they're going to still be playing football. Hopefully they'll still be playing football. But looking at the polls, we have, let's see, Class 4A, Class 5A. Okay, here's Class 5A. Might as well start with the big boys. Dutch Fork is the number 1 ranked team in the state. Out of the 19 first place votes, they got 17 of them. Gaffney is number 2. J.L. Mann, Hillcrest, White Knoll, and Boiling Springs. Class 4A, Westside is ranked number 1, and they got all the 19 first place votes. They are followed by Daniel, Richland Northeast, well, that's a little surprise, South Point, May River, South Florence, seem to have regained their footing after some stumbles early on. Then Seneca, Camden, Wren, and Hartsville. Derek Weeks, what's going on, buddy? Mr. School board guy. 3, why are you laughing, man? Class 3A, Belton Honea Path is the number 1 ranked team. They got 10 of the 19 first place votes, followed by Mountain View Prep. Now, this is another one of those prep schools that just, I think this is their first year. Well, apparently they're getting off to a good start. They're ranked number 2, followed by Marlboro County. Dillon, who had their first loss last week, is the number 4 ranked team, and they're followed by Woodruff, Loris, Aner, and Loris is probably gonna drop because they got beat. Aner follows them. Oceanside Collegiate is number 8. Pendleton is 9, and Orangeburg Wilkinson is the number 10th ranked 3A team in the state. Class 2A. Now, it's a lot less clearly defined here in this division. 5. No, they had 5 votes. They're the 2nd ranked team. Clinton is 3rd, followed by Hampton County, Fairfield Central, Barnwell, Strom-Thurmond, Chesterfield, Andrews, and Woodland is the 10th ranked team last week. Abbeville is number 1 in Class A, Class 1A. Abbeville is no stranger to football success. And now that they're in 1A again, I'm thinking it's going to be a cakewalk for them for the most part. But Lakeview is out there who gives us hope in the PD area that may be, and Hunter Kennard Tyler. So those are the rankings for this week, as this is the 5th week. Actually, it's going to be the 6th week, but even though they call this week 5 or whatever. So that's how it lines up right now, is the whole thing with all these conference lineups. You know, with people being in the ACC and they're from the West Coast, and same thing with, you know, Big Ten and all those schools. Brandon Page, what's going on, bro? When do you guys play again over there, Brandon? Louder. Gamecocks today, and the Gamecocks are doing pretty good right now. They played, let's see, looking at, okay, and that would be Squirt and TJ. And of course, TJ got the best of that family feud. Next against LSU, and they lost that game 36-33, and I really feel like they were robbed in that game, but, you know, maybe they learned some lessons there. Next game up was University of Akron, and they, you know, took advantage of Akron, beating them 50-7. And today, they will be facing off at 3:30 at the University of South Carolina against Ole Miss. So I'm sure a bunch of you are going up there, especially people connected with the Cross family, for sure, and the Sanders family and that crowd. After that, the Gamecocks will be in Tuscaloosa, Alabama next week. Or is it next week? They take on Texas A&M, and that's a homecoming game. We played in Columbia. On the 9th, they take on Vanderbilt, and that game is in Nashville. On the 16th, they're in Columbia for Missouri. On the 23rd, they host Wofford. And of course, that game precedes the big one against the Clemson Tigers. And that game is November 30th to end their regular season. And because we have local the week last week, so University of Kentucky, you're looking at 2-2 right now. 0-2 in the conference. And their season went Southern Miss. They beat them 31-0. They lost to the Gamecocks 31-6. They got nipped by the University of Georgia, who was the number 1 ranked team in the state at the time, 13-12. And then they hammered University of Ohio. Vanderbilt is next up. And that game is played on October 12th. Then they got Florida in Gainesville, Auburn in Lexington, Tennessee Vols in Knoxville, Murray State in Lexington. They traveled to Austin, Texas to play against Texas Longhorns. And that game's on the 23rd. And then back at home for a final game against Louisville. So, looking at some others of interest, and for instance, South Carolina State Bulldogs. And State started their season. Let's see, who did they play first? State's they're 1-2 right now. And they started off the season with a 22-18 loss at the hands of Florida A&M. Then they beat the Citadel, which is good, 23-20. They lost to Georgia Southern 42-14. And today, Bulldog football around here. We even sent some kids down there to play. Tennessee Tech comes up next, and then Fort Valley State, followed by Delaware State. That's going to be homecoming. North Carolina Central, that's Military Appreciation Day, and that's on the 31st of October. And then Howard. They are at Howard on the 9th. They are next. Oh, wow. They're at Howard and Morgan State on consecutive weekends. That's interesting. I wonder if would they be staying up there, or will they be coming back home? Who knows? I don't know the travel habits of college football teams. Norfolk State's on the 23rd, and that's University Senior High School Band Greek Day, it says here. So State is, they're doing okay. Next up, we have Clemson Tigers. Clemson got off to a shaky start, getting blasted by the University of Georgia, in which Dabo, the head football coach, took a lot of heat. But Clemson has recovered quite nicely. So their season looks like, okay, University of Georgia was a 34-3 victory for Georgia. They next faced, I'm going to tell you, now seriously, North Carolina State. Really no, because they've just not been good. They can't seem to get it together. I mean, the Tar Heels also, they've been terrible this year as well, getting beat by huge numbers. But State, which I've always had some kind of love for because of basketball and David Thompson and all that, they can't seem to get it together. So Clemson, the next game up was 59-35. This was who? 59-35. Forest coming up. Virginia Louisville, Virginia Tech, Pittsburgh, the Citadel on the 23rd before they take on his role as leader of the team. He looked pretty good out there. I'm really happy for him. A lot of people are pulling for him. A lot of people feel that he has pro potential. I happen to think he does too, but I need to see more. I was thinking about a former Clemson player that people had really pumped up as a great pro of the future. They started calling him a mythical name like Sunshine because of, remember, the Titans. He's quarterbacking now for Jacksonville. And I didn't really like that guy very much when he was at Clemson. Clemson had a stacked deck and had guys, plenty of talented players surrounding this guy. And as a result, he did really well. I'm still mad at them for kicking that other kid to the curb before they put Sunshine in the game. But this guy can't do anything right out there. He just got a big contract recently, and he ain't doing nothing. Looking at let's take a look at, this is Benedict. And Benedict they started out, they're 1-2. It's not terrible. They started out with a 23-7 loss to Virginia State University. And then they lost to Lane College, 32-27. They beat Edward Waters of Florida, 31-28. Today, they're at the famous college of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Morehouse College. After that, they will take on North Greenville, Kentucky State, Allen? Wow. Is that a rivalry game between Allen and Benedict? Because they're right there together. I would have to suspect that it is. On the 26th, they take on Miles College. Fort Valley State then, and after them, Savannah University. So that's the story with these cats. I want to take a look real quick here at the SEC conference lineup. And they're not as egregious as some of the other major colleges, but 2024, the SEC shapes up with Missouri, Tennessee, Georgia, LSU, Texas A&M, which is a little bit off the Southeastern Conference, plane. Then it's followed by Arkansas, the Gamecocks, Florida. Texas is in the SEC now. Then you still have Ole Miss, Alabama. Oklahoma is off the beaten path too. But they are now a member of the SEC. And then the usual Vanderbilt, Auburn, Mississippi State, and Kentucky. So their conference alignment now is not as egregious as, say, the ACC. ACC shapes up with Louisville, Virginia, Boston College. Okay, we're off the beaten path because Boston College, maybe Boston College is acceptable because they are on the Atlantic coast, but they're north. So I'm okay with Boston College being there. I'm not so all right with Stanford being there. Stanford being from California, I don't know how you can justify them being in the Atlantic Coast Conference. That's Pacific Coast. But there they are. And then you have Clemson, Syracuse, which, again, I don't think Syracuse belongs in the ACC. I never did. I mean, that's Western New York there, guys. Western New York. Georgia Tech, is the usual. Florida State, Duke, Miami, Pittsburgh, which is off the beaten path as well a little bit, but they're acceptable. Then North Carolina. SMU should not be in the ACC. Southern Methodist, that's in Texas. Virginia Tech, I can live with. University of California, I cannot live with. I just don't believe University of California should be in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Then you have North Carolina State and Wake Forest, who've been there for years and years. Why do we have all these conference realignments? Why do we have all these teams not from a region all of a sudden being in a conference region like ACC and the Big Ten as well? I mean, who they got? Oregon and some other former Pac-10 teams out there participating. It's kind of amazing. But what's the reason? And the reason has to be money. Soon you're going to have probably 2 conferences in the whole country. That's going to be it. I mean, the power conferences are just sopping up all the teams and aligning themselves together, decimating other conferences like the Pac-10. I don't know how many teams in the Pac-10 now, but I'm willing to bet it's not 10. Just like there's not 10 teams in the Big Ten anymore, and it hasn't been for a long time. So, where does this go from here? But it's almost like Alabama had been dominating everything down here for a while. Don't need that, do it? They've been dominating for forever now.
Yeah.
So now, today, it's like Georgia was patterned after Alabama. Like they copied what Georgia could do going down to the Tuscaloosa. College football has been good so far. I've watched games every single weekend. Pro football has been good.